Thank you, everybody. I won't be perturbed by your rustling if it's a necessity. Food is 5 minutes away, and I promise you I will be inside 5 minutes. There's one thing I just wanted to talk to you about today, and that is the idea of scaling bartending, the thing I care most about. Now, bartending is unfortunately not in a particularly good place, in as much as a majority of people in London who are bartending are on minimum wage, if they're indeed paying their tax, and if they're not, they're largely getting around £5 cash in hand per hour. Bartending is a default. It's something artistic people do. It's something people do as a stopgap. I think it was Nick from Beavertown said that he was an artist, so he went to work in a restaurant. It's not a tenable way of life for people. The London living wage is a distant dream for most bartenders. £6 and 8p an hour, I think it is. The interesting thing about bartending, a majority of places, you walk in, you're told it's easy, everyone thinks it's easy, you flick that switch, you've got a pint glass, you put it underneath. You want a pint? Right, cool, there you go. This is how much it is, cha-ching, done. And that is the reality for most exchanges of money and beer in London. But thankfully, things are changing. And what I'm going to propose to you today is the main reason why that's changing is through the actions of two bartenders. And these bartenders, one was in the south of England and one was in the north. And they liked beer. And they realised, independently of each other, or perhaps these things just happen at the same time anyway, that they could import beer from Australasia, from America, and from Scandinavia, and sell them here. And in doing so, they, I believe, took the first important step in kick-starting the craft beer industry as we know it, as it's sort of blooming in England at the moment. Now, I think the quality of the beer in America, Australia, and Scandinavia in particular are the influence on this whole movement. Incidentally, I don't think there's any coincidence that in those countries, bartending is a tenable way of life for people. The people that brought the beer here to England it was The Rake, a bar you may have heard of, who then formed a distribution company called Ute Beer, and they're down in Borough Market. And then in the north of England, it's a company it was a bar called the North Bar, and they were like, we love beer, can't we just drink that amazing beer here, and so we don't have to go out to California or Boulder, wherever Boulder is, I'm sorry. Colorado! I do know about beer, I promise. Colorado must be the best place in the world. So the bartenders brought this amazing beer over here, through their enthusiasm, said, you've got to try this to people, you've got to try it. Instantly, it was no coincidence, people loved it as well. And then because they loved it, the buying landscape changed and the demand increased. And fundamentally, British brewers saw an opportunity. They saw that people were willing to pay more money for amazing beer, and we have taken our influence, by and large, from these countries I've talked about. We've also had a rich history of history books, brewing manuals to go back into and just recreate our brewing history, which is probably richer than any other countries. But this whole thing now is all about what we've learned from these other countries. So, what I'm going to talk about just briefly is a kind of the technical skills of bartending that are becoming an option for people, really. It's a tenable thing now that we can get accredited as bartenders, as beer sommeliers, and there are thousands of wine sommeliers in this country. There are 28 beer sommeliers. But it is an option for people. It is an option for bar operators to put their staff on these courses. And there they can learn the ideal serving conditions, the best glass possible, the beer that they should put down in the beer cellar and leave for 20 years, and it will keep improving. These lessons are many. Bartending isn't easy when done properly. I'm so pleased and welcoming of this technical instruction that we have. But what we don't have in England is an ability to talk about emotions. And for me, the main skill of a bartender is emotional skill. It's very hard to benchmark and reward accordingly. It's very hard to say to a customer, no, I really don't think you should have that beer. I relish in that, but many people find it difficult. It's very difficult to say, no, try that one tomorrow. No, don't spend £10 on that, a pint of Imperial Stout, because that's what the owner of the business would like. Just take a third for £2.50 or whatever it is, £3. A lot of the decisions to be a good emotional bartender, in my opinion, are not economically wise decisions. And it's kind of on that basis that whilst I really welcome beer entering the world of Michelin star restaurants, where they can afford to really train people to the highest standards, both technically and emotionally, usually one of detachment in Michelin star restaurants anyway, just get on with it. What I care about is the grassroots, and I care about people making a tenable way of life as a bartender. And I really feel that given the government's sort of onslaught of taxation and the price that beer is at today, and the slim margins involved, that the realistic way for grassroots bartending and grassroots businesses to survive and give bartenders a tenable way of life has to be less driven by money. And quite frankly, what I welcome is a realism of cooperative pubs, of community pubs, and table service models where people can spend time with the customers. It's all about time, and I think it's all about actually not making money to be as good to your customers as really you should be. So that's my position. I don't know whether that helps you any in the world of technology. I just wanted to thank Anna for her help in organising this conference. She's been an absolute pleasure to work with, as has James. I've curated the beer for last night, which I hope you all enjoyed, and for this lunchtime, and I really look forward to serving you immediately.